Hi, Taylor.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's nice to meet you.
I know, nice to meet you too.
Okay, why don't we, I know William started the recording, so okay. Let's go ahead and kick things off. So, welcome everyone. We'll have more agents join as we get started, but I just wanted to take a moment, start introducing the members of the Luxury Presence team that are already available and here on the call with us today. I will have you guys introduce yourselves. You can speak to your name, your role, and what that looks like for you at Luxury Presence. So, Lindsay, I'll have you go first.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay Eckert. I am the Senior Partnerships Manager at Luxury Presence. So work very, very closely with all of our brokerage partners and staff to give you guys the latest updates on all the great things that we're doing at Luxury Presence. So yeah, very excited to be here.
Awesome. Isabella, I'll have you go next.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for the introduction. Excited to be here with you all. My name is Isabella Savini. I'm our Client Solutions Design Lead at Luxury Presence. So I've been with the company for a little over 3.5 years now and really have had the pleasure of partnering with some of our top well-known agents, teams, and brokerages. So really kind of across the spectrum there in the industry to build and refine their brands. So I'll dive into this a little bit more later, but some names you guys might know: Josh Flagg, Tracy Tudor, those are all some of our recent clients. So we'll dive into that.
Awesome. And then Taylor, I'll have you go ahead.
Yeah, so my name is Taylor. I'm also part of the partnerships team under Lindsay. So I'm the partnerships associate. I'm located in San Diego and I've been here for, oh my gosh, 3 months. So still feeling
welcome.
Yes, thank you so much. I love it. It's great. It's fantastic. So I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you all so much. So the way that this room is going to work for those of you on the call and anyone that's going to be watching the recording back, we're going to start off by doing a quick little interview segment with Isabella. And then I've got some slides from the Luxury Presence team that I will go ahead and share. And then we can dive into some of those additional case studies that you guys also shared with me. And Isabella, if at any point you'd want to have me reference them or pull them up, just let me know and I'll go ahead and share my screen. So to kick things off, can you, I think I'm going to jump around a little bit. I won't necessarily go in order, but first things first, how do aesthetics and the overall first few seconds when anyone goes to a new website play a role in creating a memorable and impactful online presence for real estate professionals?
Definitely. So aesthetics are going to be critical. There are absolutely a ton of other pieces of your branding, your messaging, your positioning. That's all super important to kind of creating the whole brand style guide and everything that you're preaching to your customers. But I'm sure you guys have all heard this line, like it only takes 7 seconds to make a first impression. With websites, it's actually even less. So researchers at Princeton have actually found that it takes 1/10 of a second when you're looking at a website to actually make that first impression. What's interesting about that is, think of 1/10 of a second. You can't really read messaging in that amount of time. And so that's where the aesthetics come into play in that first impression, is that you really need to make a statement there with, say, your typography, with the color palette that's being used. When you think about typography, say a serif might take a much more formal or professional tone, while a sans serif, so if you're thinking serif kind of has those tails at the end of the font, where a sans serif is a little bit more casual, it might be more conversational and more modern. We see a lot of tech brands using a sans serif. So thinking about kind of how you align your brand, that can be a really critical defining factor. And then also color palette. So you can obviously go very deep into color theory here, but definitely just think about how the colors you're selecting would work for your market. For example, if you're working in a coastal market versus somewhere in the mountains or in the desert, you might pick blue for coastal, but that might not necessarily work as well with somewhere in like Arizona or in the desert. Of course, it's very much up to kind of what your personal preferences are, but these are things to think about, as well as how it complements the style of homes you sell. If you and your brand are very loud and very bold, think, say, Sirhan. They're very loud, they're very bold. They chose a really bold blue versus someone who's maybe more minimalistic, more refined and simple. You're going to choose something that's a little more neutral. And so those are the things. Of course, there's such a larger conversation in terms of brand, but when you think about that first impression, it really comes down to the simplest of kind of characteristics there, like your typography and your color palette.
Absolutely. I'm so sorry about that. My phone went off a few different times, but in addition to,
I think you just muted yourself.
so sorry. In addition to aesthetics and color theory, what are some other insights into different design elements that real estate agents in particular should be prioritizing for effective website branding?
So when we talk about strategic design elements, I want to be careful that we don't think of these in silos where there's just one thing that you could implement or one other thing, and that's just going to immediately make an improvement. What we always encourage our clients to do is really kind of go back to the basics, think about the foundation of your brand. And that's really built on a cohesive brand style guide. So this could be as advanced as having multiple logos, graphics, specific messaging, or really just as simple as what I was just saying with typography and color solutions. So you don't have to go and have this big fancy brand guidelines. Of course, that's going to be beneficial if you do have the resources and you do want to go do that as you expand your brand, but it can really just start with having that foundation of the colors and the typography. And what that does is it kind of helps to establish two things. It helps to create that consistency and familiarity for your brand, but it also helps you to appeal and connect with like-minded individuals. And so you really want to make sure that you're creating that consistent and familiar brand across all of your marketing collateral. I know we're talking about websites here today, but you don't want your website to be the first time someone sees your brand, or you don't want social media to be the first time someone sees it. Or if they go from your website to your social media, which you're obviously linking out to, you want them to be able to make that connection. And so really thinking about both digital, social media, e-blasts, your website, and also print. So property signs, open house handouts, all of that really needs to be tied in and be cohesive. And so, of course, if I were to rank importance and people want to take something away from today, I would say your logo really kind of makes up. I've mentioned that's really the simplest version is colors, font, and a logo. That's something that you can put on every single piece of collateral, whether it's digital, whether it's print, and really create that consistency and recognition. And even better is if you can actually take that logo, create multiple versions from it. And that's something I'll show a little bit later when we look at some examples. But if you're able to say, if you think of the brand Sirhan, they have their just full word mark Sirhan, but then they also take their S with a period and they use that a ton of other places as well. And so they're able to use that in watermarks, in masking frames. And so making it adaptable to different pieces of marketing collateral and really just using something as simple as a graphic, using it throughout the website in different ways can just allow you to be really flexible and really establish that brand recognition.
Mm-hmm. Having that overlap too on different channels, I think, is really what blends the brand together and creates that cohesiveness that I think a lot of real estate agents can really benefit from. One of the pieces of advice that I had seen in one of our other rooms that we had done was that one of the first things that any potential client or lead should be able to gather from seeing your website, your social, anything marketing related should be who you are and what you do. Like that should be one of the first things that they get across, whether that's from your logo, from your website again. And so, no, that's fantastic insight. On the flip side, what are some, in your experience, what are some common pitfalls or mistakes that real estate agents should really avoid when working with a designer like at Luxury Presence, or if they do one themselves? What are some common pitfalls that they should avoid for branding purposes?
So I would say hands down, the most important thing to remember when you're getting started on this process is that your website should reflect your brand. It shouldn't reflect anyone else's. It's easy to get caught up in those celebrity real estate agents, those top performers in your market, and say, oh, I want to sell the homes that John Smith sells. My website needs to look exactly like John Smith. That's not true. And that's really definitely a pitfall we see, is then they're just kind of trying to tag along to someone else's brand, but that's not really them. And maybe they do want to say get into luxury someday, but there's all different unique paths. And really, I think the way those agents, even if they are operating in these luxury markets, have become so successful is because they've focused on building their personal brand. And so that's really where you want to start. So really making sure that you're not kind of looking to someone else, but really looking at yourself, really understanding who's your target audience, defining that niche is the most important piece. And that's not to say that inspiration isn't important. Inspiration is a huge part of the process. We always encourage clients to look at other websites that are out there and always think of ideas. And one thing we've noticed, because obviously differentiation is so important, is that, and I'll walk through this with my clients, is I don't tell them to necessarily go to another agent's website or anyone else in the real estate industry, but we found that kind of telling them to go to, say, adjacent industries to real estate, like say hotel brands, has been really, really helpful in helping them to articulate the look and feel they want to create, to articulate the messaging. If you think of, say, Aman Hotels, or you think of the W Hotel, they're both luxury hotel chains, but they have a very different feel. Aman is that more simplistic, refined brand, where W has that big, bold appearance. It's very fun. It's very sociable. So you don't have to just tag along to one type of brand just to be luxury. And I think that's the biggest thing. We always see clients wanting to move up in their career and thinking they have to go do what the next luxury agent is doing. Really, really focus on your brand, and that's how you're going to get there and be successful.
Absolutely. And I think that went into answering another one of my questions too, which was kind of tailoring that messaging and tailoring how the look and feel of the website should be reflective of who you're trying to talk to, what you want to say to your clients, what kind of resources, support, and all of those things. And so it may seem very baseline. It may seem like, oh yeah, no, of course you should have your website tailored to who you're talking to. But I think when it comes to niche and making sure that, like you said, you're not just going and looking at what a successful real estate agent is doing, because everyone's market and everyone's specific niche and value add that they themselves can provide is going to be different. And your website and your marketing collateral is going to reflect that. So no, I really love that answer. Before we get into some of maybe your case studies, my final question for you is, with the rapid evolution of technology and different design trends, how can real estate agents ensure that their website branding really remains relevant and competitive in this landscape?
So this is a really interesting one, because a lot of times what people get confused on is that they think your branding and your marketing are the same thing, where they're actually very different, and one facilitates another, and they kind of work together at different points in your prospecting process. So if you think about a brand, that really shouldn't be chasing trends. There's a reason why companies like Apple, Nike, Microsoft, their brand hasn't changed over the past 20, 30 years. They've done very little, if any, sort of brand kind of redesign or reformation, because your brand is supposed to be that timeless manifestation of your values and your identity. They shouldn't be trendy. They should really be authentic to who you are, which is what goes back to what we were just saying about really drilling down on your niche, your audience. Make sure you're speaking to that specific audience, not trying to reach everyone. Then, however, if you think about marketing, that's really the means by which you're communicating your brand. So that does change quickly. And we've seen that change really fast. So if you think about 5 years ago, you probably wouldn't have guessed that short form video like Instagram Reels and TikTok would be one of the most important mediums for communicating your value as a real estate agent. Today it is. And so really the bottom line is that in order to be effective in such a quickly evolving market that's changing all the time, you have to have that timeless, identifiable, and consistent brand across all of your platforms. but then also have this dependable and scalable marketing tech stack that you know is going to help you to consistently evolve. That's going to be keeping up with what medium should I be communicating on next. And so your website is kind of the cornerstone of all of that, essentially. Your website has the branding. It should communicate that timeless feel, but it should also be able to be that place where your marketing can send people to, and evolve as different kind of social platforms and different mediums spring up and come and go.
No, I think that's a really valuable insight, that marketing and branding are not the same thing, because I feel like that distinction is so key, especially when you look at brands that you've mentioned like Apple and Nike. And that was something that I just learned too, is that like, oh yeah, they haven't really changed their brand over the years. They'll have different marketing campaigns and things like that they're running, but they're never perceived brand wise as trendy. It's more of that timeless aspect. And so with that in mind, Lindsay, shall I pull up the slides first, or Isabella, do you want me to go through some of the websites? Which would you guys prefer?
Let's look at a few case studies just so we can kind of put some visuals to everything I was just talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to pull up the Serhant one, we can do that.
Absolutely. Let's start here. Okay. Please just let me know where to click, how far to scroll, and I will be kind of your mouse for the time being.
So if you just want to kind of scroll slowly down the homepage, everything you see here is completely intentional, and it really stems from their brand's visual identity. Of course, a brand like Serhant is going to have invested a lot of time into building out their brand, but what you can see here is they have this one bold accent color blue, like I was talking about. They're not super refined. They're not super minimalistic. They want to make a statement. And so you can see this kind of bold typography that they're using. They're using that sans serif font, and they're really kind of playing on the curvature of the S in their logo and the circle by using these rounded edges in all of the different visual aspects. So kind of bringing your brand onto a website isn't about just saying, okay, here's my typography and here's my color palette. Now this should be completely unique, but it's really thinking through every single design decision of how are we showcasing the properties? How are we showing something as simple as that Serhant signature tag in the upper left-hand corner of those properties to have that curve that brings us back to the curvature in the logo, in the Serhant S. So some things like this have to be very well thought out, and really it's why you want to work with a partner who can kind of help you to capture this. And something interesting is that if you keep scrolling down the page here, you can see where they end up using their S logo in a ton of different ways. So before it was the outline. If you scroll a tiny bit more down here, you'll see it's kind of this watermark where you have, it's almost like masked with an image behind it. So this is what I was talking about earlier when I talk about having versatility in your logo and having multiple different versions, because it can really allow you to create several different graphics that help you to reinforce your brand without just looking competitive and kind of putting the same logo in 4 different positions on your website. So really tying it all together, reinforcing that brand consistency as you scroll through each different piece of the homepage and all of the pages on the website. So this one really just brings it all together nicely. And I think it's a great example of what you can do when you have a really strong brand, but it's also just a great example of some tips that you can think of if you are just starting out, and really how to think about implementing your brand onto a website.
No, this is fantastic. I really like to, let me scroll back up really quick, especially for any of these featured listings. It really makes your eye drawn to the one that you're actually featuring and looking at directly, and all of the other ones are in black and white. So your eye is automatically drawn to the featured one. And then as you kind of go through, that consistency there. I love that. I think that that looks really classic and very cool. You can also see the S back here as well too. And yeah, I think that's fantastic.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage anyone to go ahead and check this out. I don't want to take up too much time looking at one site, but scroll through this, see how they're implementing it, see the different ways they're kind of taking a spin on their brand to keep it consistent, but not lose interest and not feel repetitive. So this is a great example of a really strong brand that that already existed. Absolutely. We have to give Ryan Serhant and all of them credit on they built this brand, but we help them translate it onto the platform. And that's what's really important is kind of finding that merger and figuring out how to work together there.
Absolutely. Which one should we look at next?
Let's take a look at, let's use Josh Flag.
Okay, sounds good.
So actually, if before we click enter, I want to leave it right here for a second because now this is an agent example. So we just looked at a brokerage example, which if you're a single agent, you can absolutely take what I just talked about and apply it to your own brand. But Josh has a very, very unique brand, and we spent a lot of time thinking about this. And this is a great example of wanting to have this really impressive moment before someone even enters your screen or enters your website. In this case, you're going to see this within that 1/10 of a second, and you're going to already begin to start to kind of formulate what you think of this brand. This graphic specifically, he worked with his designers. It kind of gives off this Henry Bendel, kind of a little bit more graphic, more illustrative. It's an interesting and a new take that you might not always think of, but it's uniquely Josh. And so that's something that just really catches people's eye. If you click in and enter here, one thing to mention is he also uses that in his email signature. So there's that brand recognition right there. That little graphic is also present whenever he's emailing a client or anyone else. Now, when I talk about inspiration and how you should go about that, it's not just agents who are starting out who are trying to think of what brands do I want to align myself with. That was kind of the hallmark of how we worked through Josh's website, was actually thinking about what are your goals with this site? And he said, you know what, I want this to feel like a luxury hotel brand. I want it to have this portfolio feel, these large full bleed images. And so I've talked a lot about typography and color choice, but actually the layout also and like the UX of the website also plays into this a lot as well, because we were able to create this experience of flipping through a portfolio and really seeing all of these large format images, and specifically all these images of beautiful architecture that he specializes in. And so that was like the whole main goal with this website. And you can see if you look at his logo, just scroll up a tiny bit. There we go. At the top of the screen, he really wanted to feel very uniquely Los Angeles. You're not going to see a lot of agents, if you think about it, that have their market in their logo. And that was something that was really important to Josh, is that it felt like a destination for specifically Los Angeles properties, for architecture, for design, and just looking at these beautiful historic homes that he sold. That's how we really crafted his brand. And so, yes, typography plays into it. We see a beautiful serif here. It has that elegant and refined feel, but it's also playing with these kind of elements and layouts. And so everything combined there is really how you're going to end up creating that brand. And so if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see these like parallax sections where you really just see the listings. Of course, here, Josh has those listings that he can market, but that's not to say that you couldn't do some beautiful images of your market that you have, of say you're in Southern California, of the ocean, really just making this a destination for people who want to learn more about the community and about the market.
Again, you can see how his logo again is present in the back there. I love that. Also, these homes are beautiful. I love it.
Awesome. Yeah, so I would encourage everyone to take a look at this one as well. Another good one I don't think we have time for because I want Lindsay to be able to jump in, but official partners as well, I would encourage. I'll send it in the chat, or if you want to send it in the chat as well, if you have it kind of.
Yes,
up,
I do.
everyone can take a look at that. But I hope these visual examples kind of helped to articulate and help you visualize exactly what I was talking about earlier. That's obviously, the aesthetics are a key piece there. So let me know if you guys have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Isabella. This was really insightful. If I ever need a website, maybe I'll go to Luxury Presence too. Because those are all gorgeous. I think they're beautifully crafted and very intentionally crafted too. And so, Lindsay, I know we are somewhat running out of time, but I still wanted to give you as much time as possible to go through your slides and talk a little bit about Luxury Presence as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you, Isabella. That was great. So yeah, if we can click ahead, I think to maybe slide 4. Let's jump there. Yeah, I just wanted to give a brief overview of the partnership for those who may not be as familiar and some of the benefits. So, through our partnership with Radius agents, they do receive discounted pricing on our services, which are broken down into 4 different packages. We did recently do a refresh of our plan. So exciting, all of our plans do now come with the ability to launch one-click property sites for listings, as well as the inclusion of a ADA compliance widget. Additionally, we also did kind of refresh and rename our top tier plans, which are called Leads Pro and SEO Pro. And those include additional marketing services and tools to really generate and manage your leads and kind of enhance your SEO. I will note too, websites are really kind of our bread and butter and the foundation, but the integrity of the website does not change from plan to plan. What you really see as you go from Launch Plus all the way up to SEO Pro are just those additional marketing services that get layered on. And also too, worth noting, our Leads Pro and SEO Pro plans do come with dedicated client success managers. So they'll work with the agent, and that's kind of their main point of contact regarding all things to their website, reporting, strategy, updates, etc. And then if we click ahead to our next slide, we do also have a kind of a handful of add-ons too. So it's kind of a nice variety of add-ons that you can add to your packages, social media, SEO, additional advertising. Nice way to just give agents a chance to kind of customize what makes sense for their business and mix and match. I will say our account reps do a really good job during consultations and meeting with an agent of understanding, what have they done in the past? What are their future goals? What are some other maybe competitors in the market that they're seeing that they're doing, just to really get a sense of sort of where they fall within our different packages and maybe any applicable add-ons that make sense as well. All right, and then jumping to the next slide. So one of the biggest benefits I'll say of working with Luxury Presence is that we've built our own presence platform. So the great thing about that is we're continually enhancing and rolling out new tools and platform enhancements, which is where all of our websites are hosted. Most recently, our new AI lead nurture tool rolled out a few months ago. It's a really cool tool. Any leads that come in from an agent site, it actually automatically kicks off kind of an SMS drip texting conversation to start kind of qualifying their lead, understanding how soon are they looking, what area, what zip code, what price point, to kind of take that workload off of the agent. And if at any time they indicate, hey, I'm ready to sell, or I've urgently got to buy something soon, we'll actually flag that for the agent and say, hey, over email and text, you've got a hot one on the line, you should definitely reach out. But beyond that, they can always go into their presence platform and read through the conversations to really help prioritize who they should be, reaching out to. If there's maybe a lead that's way outside of kind of their sphere and location that they focus on, maybe that's an opportunity to refer to another agent. So really cool tool. We've gotten a lot of great feedback on it. That tool is baked into our higher tier Leads Pro and SEO Pro plans, but is also available as an add-on for our launch and brand plans. And then if we click ahead to the next one, super excited to share, and some of you guys may have seen this maybe on social media, or if you're subscribed to our marketing newsletter that goes out, but our new mobile app, Presence Copilot, is coming very, very soon. It combines an AI-powered assistant, smart client collaboration features, and an agent-branded consumer app to really help agents work smarter while their clients and ultimately close more deals. So very excited about this. This will be available very soon, but in the meantime, you can click into the link on this slide to join the waitlist and get frequent updates.
Let me copy the link address and then also keep that in the chat as well.
Perfect. Awesome. And then if we jump ahead to the next slide, so our presence platform is actually really super easy to use for clients. They can go in and swap photos, update copy, etc., add new team members. But if they ever need help, our support team is available. There's kind of 3 different channels that they can go to. They can contact us through phone, email, and chat. So if they ever run into problems, need help with edits, our team is available to jump in and assist. And we are excited because we just announced recently that our email and live chat are now available 24/7 to really give all of our clients support around the clock.
Excellent.
And then lastly, we have a really great referral program. I know agents love referrals. We love them too. So if you are an existing Luxury Presence client and you know a colleague, another team, brokerage agent that may be interested in a website, if you refer them to us and they sign up, we'll actually give you a $1,200 credit that gets applied to your monthly subscription.
Oh, that's a good one. Lindsay, would I be able to actually I'll send you a follow-up email afterwards. No worries.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, if you want to share out this deck, you're more than welcome to. Just
Yeah, I was going to
stuff.
ask about that as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, of course. Yeah. And then we just wanted to give a special offer for anyone who joined today or watches the recording moving forward. If you're interested in a website, we're happy to give $500 off your new Luxury Presence website. We've got a nice little landing page, which I can, again, I can actually go ahead and just drop it in the chat here as well. Can sign up for a demo with our team there, or if it's easier, you guys can always just reach out via radius@luxurypresence.com. And myself and Taylor and a few others are on that email, so we can connect you with the right team member.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lindsay. I know we had some agents on the call, and then unfortunately some had to drop just from client calls and whatnot. You guys know how it is. You all work in the real estate sphere. And so I know we're at time, but I will let everyone get the deck. I'll send over the links, and then you guys will be getting a follow-up email from me with everyone's contact should you have any questions. Awesome. Thank you all
Amazing.
so
Thank you
much
so
for your
much.
time today. Isabella, you had some fantastic insights. I think that this was exactly what agents should and need to hear, especially when it comes to their branding and when it comes to, their vision for their website and any marketing assets they choose to create from it. So thank you so much for your time and your expertise today. I really appreciate it. And then thank you to the rest of the Luxury Presence team as well for joining us today. For anyone that's watching the recording back, we hope you take advantage of this offer with Luxury Presence. I do know a few agents with Radius that have done their websites with Luxury Presence, and they look absolutely phenomenal. So I hope everyone has a great rest of their Wednesday, and I just want to thank you all again.
Awesome. Great speaking with you.
Great speaking with you as well. Thank you all again.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.